There is a moment in your financial life that almost nobody warns you about. It is not the moment you receive your first serious paycheck. It is not when you finally pay off your credit cards. And it is not even when you make your first major investment. It is the moment you look at your savings and realize that, for the first time, you have enough money to protect yourself from a major setback. Maybe it is $20,000. Maybe $50,000. Maybe you have crossed $100,000. Whatever the number is, something changes. You are no longer simply trying to survive the next unexpected expense. You have created a financial cushion. You have bought yourself time. You have started building something that can eventually give you choices most people do not have. And strangely, this is also the moment when you may need to become quieter about money. Not because everyone around you is secretly trying to take it. Not because you should distrust your family or friends. But because once people know you have serious money, your money can stop being just your money. It can become part of their expectations. A friend needs help. A relative has an emergency. Someone presents you with an investment opportunity. Someone assumes you can afford the expensive restaurant. Someone wonders why you still drive an old car if you have so much saved. And suddenly, the wealth you spent years building begins creating social pressure. This is why one of the most underrated financial habits is learning when not to talk about your money. Because wealth is easier to protect when it does not need an audience. Consider someone like Daniel. For years, Daniel earns a comfortable but ordinary salary. He rents a modest apartment, drives an older car, cooks most of his meals at home, and automatically moves part of every paycheck into savings and investments. Nothing about his lifestyle screams wealthy. Then, after years of consistency, his financial accounts reach $100,000. That number feels enormous. But Daniel does something interesting. He does not immediately upgrade his lifestyle. He does not announce it online. He does not start telling everyone how much he has accumulated. Instead, his life looks almost exactly the same. And that is precisely the point. The $100,000 is not there to make Daniel look richer. It is there to make him harder to financially break. If he loses his job, he has time. If his car needs an expensive repair, he does not need to panic. If an investment opportunity appears, he can evaluate it without desperately needing someone else to finance him. If life suddenly becomes more expensive, he has room to breathe. That money has purchased something more valuable than a luxury item. It has purchased options. And options are one of the least visible forms of wealth. This matters because many people confuse having money with looking like they have money. Those are completely different things. A person can have a $70,000 car, designer clothes, expensive vacations, and a beautiful apartment while having very little financial flexibility. Another person can have an ordinary car, an older phone, modest clothes, and substantial investments quietly working in the background. From the outside, the first person may look wealthier. Financially, the second person may be in a much stronger position. That distinction becomes especially important once your savings start becoming meaningful. Because when people know you have money, expectations can change. Imagine telling your friends that you have accumulated $100,000. You might expect congratulations, and you may get them. But eventually, the number can change the way people interpret your decisions. You decline an expensive weekend trip. Come on, you can afford it. You refuse to lend someone several $1,000s. But you have plenty of money. You choose not to upgrade your car. Why are you still driving that thing? The problem is not necessarily that these people are bad. The problem is that information changes perception. Once people know what you have, they may unconsciously calculate what they think you should be willing to spend. And there is an even more subtle pressure. You can start doing the same calculation yourself. You reach a financial milestone and suddenly think, I've worked this hard. Maybe I deserve something. That thought is completely human. You probably do deserve to enjoy your money. But there is a difference between enjoying wealth and allowing every financial milestone to trigger a permanent increase in your lifestyle. A raise can become a bigger apartment. A bonus can become a new car. A successful investment can become a more expensive vacation. A larger savings account can become permission to spend more. And slowly, the money that was supposed to create freedom becomes absorbed into a lifestyle that requires more money to maintain. This is one reason serious wealth can be surprisingly invisible. The person building real financial independence may not change much on the outside. Their savings rate changes. Their investments grow. Their debt falls. Their emergency fund gets stronger. Their financial options expand. But their Instagram page may look exactly the same. And that is not failure. That is often the strategy. The Federal Reserve's 2025 report on the economic well-being of U.S. households found that 63% of adults said they could cover a hypothetical $400 emergency using cash or its equivalent. That means a significant portion of Americans would struggle to handle even a relatively small, unexpected expense without turning to another source of money. Put that into perspective. The ability to handle an emergency without borrowing is not just about having a large bank balance. It is about having breathing room. And once you have built that breathing room, protecting it becomes extremely important. Because there is another danger that comes with making your financial position too visible. Opportunities start coming toward you. And not all opportunities are opportunities. Sometimes they are simply requests wearing the clothing of opportunity. A friend has a business idea. A distant relative knows someone with an investment. Someone promises unusually high returns. Someone says you are missing out because your money is just sitting there. The more people know you have accumulated capital, the more likely you are to encounter situations where someone wants access to it. That does not mean you should become suspicious of everyone. It means you should recognize that financial information has value. And in an age where people share almost everything online, protecting that information can be a financial skill by itself. You do not need to post your investment balance. You do not need to announce your salary. You do not need to reveal how much you saved this year. You do not need to explain every financial decision you make. Privacy is not dishonesty. There is an important distinction between being secretive and being selective. Your spouse or partner may need to know everything. Your accountant needs the relevant information. Your financial advisor may need accurate details. Your attorney may need to understand your assets. The people who have legitimate financial responsibilities with you should have the information they need, but the entire social world does not. And this becomes even more important because financial identity can quietly influence behavior. Suppose everyone around you begins thinking of you as the person who has money. That label can become uncomfortable. You may feel pressure to maintain it. You start buying things that match the identity. You take more expensive vacations. You upgrade your wardrobe. You drive a nicer car. You begin paying for things because refusing feels inconsistent with the image people have of you. The strange part is that you can end up spending money to protect an image that you created by talking about money in the first place. That is a psychological trap, and it is closely connected to status. Humans naturally compare themselves with other people. We notice what our neighbors drive. We notice where our friends travel. We notice what people wear. Social media amplifies this because we are constantly exposed to carefully selected versions of other people's lives. But wealth does not need to participate in that competition. In fact, one of the strongest financial positions you can reach is the point where you stop caring whether other people think you are wealthy. Because if your financial decisions are being made for an audience, your audience is effectively controlling your money. Think about that. If you buy something because you genuinely value it, you made the decision. If you buy it because you are afraid of looking unsuccessful, someone else's opinion made the decision for you. And that is the opposite of financial independence. Financial independence is not simply having enough money. It is having enough control over your money that other people's expectations do not determine your choices. This is also why you should be especially careful with financial information online. You do not need to publish your exact account balance for people to understand that you have money. A screenshot of an investment portfolio, a post about buying a house, a discussion about a large inheritance, a celebration of a major financial milestone. Individually, each detail may seem harmless. Together, they can reveal a surprisingly detailed picture of your financial situation. And once information is public, you cannot completely control where it goes. This becomes particularly important because investment fraud continues to cause enormous losses in the United States. The Federal Trade Commission reported that consumers lost billions of dollars to investment scams in 2024. The lesson is not that you should never invest. It is that you should never confuse visibility with credibility. Someone knowing that you have money does not make them qualified to advise you about it. Someone sounding confident does not make an investment legitimate. Someone being a friend does not automatically make their financial opportunity a good one. Your money deserves a higher standard than that. And there is another reason to keep serious savings relatively quiet. Silence gives your financial goals room to grow. When you announce a goal, you sometimes get the emotional reward before completing the goal. You tell people you are saving for a house. You receive encouragement. You tell people you are building an investment portfolio. You receive praise. You tell people you are trying to become financially independent. You feel accomplished. But there is a difference between feeling like you are progressing and actually progressing. Sometimes the most powerful financial work happens when nobody knows you are doing it. You save. You invest. You pay down debt. You build an emergency fund. You increase your retirement contributions. You repeat the process. No applause required. And eventually, something interesting happens. The money starts doing work that your salary alone could never do. Your savings create stability. Your investments create potential growth. Your reduced expenses create flexibility. Your financial discipline creates choices. And because you did not constantly increase your lifestyle every time your income increased, more of your money remains available for your future. That is the quiet side of wealth. It is not flashy. It does not always photograph well. It does not necessarily impress anyone at dinner. but it changes the way you experience life. An unexpected bill becomes an inconvenience instead of a crisis. A bad job becomes something you can leave instead of something you must tolerate. A financial emergency becomes a problem you can solve instead of a disaster. And perhaps that is the real reason serious money should be protected from unnecessary attention. The purpose of wealth is not to convince other people that you are successful. The purpose is to give yourself more freedom. So when you finally reach that financial milestone, you do not have to announce it. You can celebrate privately. You can tell the people who genuinely need to know. And then you can go back to doing something that looks almost boring from the outside. Keep saving. Keep investing. Keep your lifestyle under control. Keep your options expanding, because there is something strangely powerful about having money that nobody can see. You are not spending it to impress them. You are not protecting an image. You are not trying to prove that you made it. You are simply building a life where you have more control over your time, your choices, and your future. And maybe that is the deeper lesson. The strongest form of wealth is not the kind that makes people ask, "How much do you have?" It is the kind that quietly changes the question inside your own mind from, "Can I afford this?" to, "Is this actually worth giving up my freedom for?" Because once you understand that, money stops being something you use to prove who you are. It becomes something you use to decide how you want to live. And that is why, when you finally save serious money, telling everyone may be the least important thing you can do with it.